Hey guys, welcome to Wisco Roots Homestead. Today we're kicking off something that we're calling 365 days of growing, preserving, and cooking real food. So we're so excited that you're here with us. Today we're starting off by making some homemade applesauce. So we're gonna go pick some apples, we're gonna get them processed, and then we're gonna show you how we can them. So we are lucky enough to have two mature apple trees that the previous owners of our home had planted. And then we added a couple more ourselves last year, just so that we would have more apples to use that aren't being sprayed with anything. So we had planted two fireside trees, two Macintosh, and then what was the other kind?
And two are Honey Crisps.
And then two Honey Crisps.
But the firesides are the only ones that had apples.
Yeah, so only these two trees produced really any apples this year. So a handful. Get one over here. Those are beautiful looking apples.
The firesides are supposed to be years. They're like an older variety of apple, I guess. But these are the only ones that gave apples this year, and just the couple that it has, I mean, they're like perfect. There's no pock marks. They're like the perfect shape. The Honey Crisp, the Japanese beetles really like, and they look a little rough. I think next year I got to spray those with neem more often after once the
they do look pretty
pollinators are done with it.
Pretty damaged.
Once the pollinators are done with them, then I'll start spraying with neem to get rid of those little things. But it's hard because they like the Honey Crisp apples, they like the wild grape.
All right, so we're back here in the kitchen. We've got our apples picked. We have this, what is it? A spiralizer?
I think that's just the brand name. But basically there's a bunch of different companies that make these. They're pretty cheap. But what it does is it peels and cores the apple all at once. So you're left with, you know, a spiralized apple, I guess, with no core. And just a little bit of skin, which is fine because we're going to run it through the food mill, and then that'll remove any pieces of core or anything like that.
We have all of our apples cut up and in this big stock pot. We have added a little bit of water to the bottom just to make sure that they don't stick. We're using the applesauce recipe from this Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving. I highly recommend getting one of the Ball books to use the recipes out of, and just so that you're practicing safe canning.
So that started off as 4 gallons of apples. This is a 4 gallon stock pot, and it basically they'll soften up and you know, kind of look more like that, and it reduces down to about 2 gallons of now, you know, cooked apples. So now that it's all cooked down, throw it in the food mill here. Fill up the hopper. And most of this, this is how you're going to get out all the little bits of skin and you know, any random little seeds or, you know, hard parts or whatever, and it will give it a good consistent mash. So, well, pro tip, instead of using the crank, if you have a drill, just thread a 1/2-inch nut on there, get yourself a socket adapter for your drill, and this makes life a lot easier. It depends on how much moisture you think is left in your pulp, but this has got a little bit left in it yet, so I usually will run it through at least once. This will go through a little harder just because there's more hard matter and less liquid.
I've brought the applesauce back over to the stove, and I'm going to add about 2 cups of sugar to this. We're going to bring this up to a boil again, and then we're just going to taste it from there to see if it needs any more sugar. I don't like adding a ton, and I definitely don't add as much as the recipe calls for because I just don't think it's healthy for us. I am processing these into pint jars today. I have those ready and heating up in this water bath canner. I've got the lids back there. And this is just starting to boil here, so we are going to get started canning. The directions say that you should keep the applesauce at a boiling temperature as you can, but I don't have a whole lot of room over here to the side of our stove, so I might pull this off and just quickly fill my jars to put in the water bath canner. All right, so anytime you are canning, it's important that you wipe the rim with a wet cloth before you put the covers on, just to make sure that there's no debris or anything that's going to get caught between the seal and your jar, because that will not allow it to properly seal. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe the rims of all these jars, because I do see that I got a little bit of applesauce on a few of these. And then I'm gonna grab a lid and a ring, and I'm going to tighten these just as tight as I can tighten it with my hand, but not too tight. All right, so we have about an inch of water above our cans, and we're gonna bring this up to a boil, and these are going to water bath for 20 minutes. I hope you learned something from today's video. If you're interested in learning more about canning, watch our next video where we can our homemade tomato sauce. Thanks for being here. Catch you on the next one.